Hi guys, Flickin' Friday. So I have a movie here that's kind of really a movie that's very close to what I do, and what do I mean by that? This movie's really springboard my obsession with and my passion for filmmaking. And it was the first time when I realized, I mean, you got to remember too, when I first started thinking about making movies or creating stories of any kind, I could really only do like comics because it was a lot cheaper to do. You could make whatever you wanted with very little money. You weren't limited by like what you could shoot and stuff. This is back when, video and video cameras weren't quite the same as making a real movie, where nowadays like you can pick up a camera for $1,000 and it's close to cinema quality. Most stuff is shot digitally now, but this is kind of before that, like say 15, 16 years ago. And this is when I first discovered a guy named Robert Rodriguez, and he made this movie called El Mariachi.
El Mariachi.
Now this movie it's a really straightforward action movie. But it was done for, now famous for being made for about $7,000, I believe. The precursor to Desperado, starring Antonio Banderas, which is actually Desperado is basically a remake of El Mariachi. El Mariachi meaning the guitar player, and it's just really good. It stars one of his best friends, this guy here, Carlos Gallardo. The story behind the movie, the heart behind it, the lack of crew. He just basically used whoever wasn't. They basically just used this one town where Carlos was from, and Robert Rodriguez and him would just make these little movies on video, like before they made this movie, just little shorts and stuff. And so he's from this little town, and so they just sort of had the run of this town when they decided to make a movie, a full real movie, and very limited takes because they didn't want to run out of, they didn't want to use a lot of film because it's expensive. Film is expensive to run and process and stuff. And Robert Rodriguez obviously started Troublemaker Studios, and he's kind of gone on and done Sin City and like all the Spy Kid movies. He's made a career out of himself out of this little movie. It's actually it was only meant to be a quick movie that he'd make for the Mexican video market. I know all the backstory of this movie because there's a book called Rebel Without a Crew that is actually, I read the book before I even saw El Mariachi for the first time. It's just a great movie. It's a good movie on its own, but like the backstory and the just realizing you could just go out and make a movie, even back then, with like taking their passion and just scrounging some money up and making a movie. It's just fantastic, and it's always been an inspiration for me. Robert Rodriguez has been a huge inspiration. I'm a big fan of his. Great movie. Check it out. I highly recommend it if you like just action movies. There's very little dialogue. It's basically just this guitar player comes to town looking to play the guitar, but he switches, he goofs up and he steals a bad guy's briefcase or accidentally switches it, and he ends up with instead of his guitar, he ends up with a briefcase full of guns, and that's kind of like where it starts.
Mariachi.
Went and shot at the ferry docks again with the drone. What are you doing? She is crazy. You're a nut. What a nut. I don't know what's going on right now. You done now? Anyway, really quite interesting is every time I go out to the ferry dock, it was just absolutely jam-packed with people today. There's a little bit of a campground. Anyway, I basically flew for 10 minutes and had 2 job offers. One, a guy wanted me to take the drone fishing, and I don't know about that one. And then another guy wanted to hire me for something. So I don't even have cards or anything, so I had to like come back home and grab an old card for him. But we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's just kind of funny. But sometimes you never know. You just never know, right? Got to be available for those opportunities. I'm probably gonna call it here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. This nut is just started. Just woke up. What's going on, Rose? Are you nut?